The backstory that came with this car, it was traded in by a French gentleman and his wife, and the wife had sort of said that this was his absolute pride and joy car. You know, she didn't think he'd even want to part with it. He loves it that much, he's probably not going to want to part exchange it. He babies it, he loves it, he drives it all the time. Behind me is a 2001 Mercedes SLK that I have massively overpaid for. In fact, Jason took this in part exchange, so it was his fault. He gave £1,200 for this car, which is on 179,000 miles, I might have you know, and looks like it's probably the roughest car I've ever bought. So let's have a look around and find out why we bought it and why we overpaid. Right, so yeah, quite a beauty really, isn't it? There's just so much to take in with this car. Where do I start? The obvious is, look at the paintwork on this bonnet. Never mind the graphic that's been put on, which is well out of place on a Mercedes SLK, but I just have no idea what's happened here. Do you think someone's vandalised it? Do you think someone's used very bad cleaning technique? It looks like someone's tried to use a brick instead of a sponge to just absolutely destroy this thing. I have no idea what's happened. There's definitely been some kind of Brillo pad cleaning action going on, because it carries on onto the roof as well. How does that happen? There's minor bits of it elsewhere. I'm sure you can see some little light scratches. I'm sure someone's used like a kitchen sponge or something, and just, my God, that is the worst paintwork I've probably ever seen as far as damage that someone's done themselves. Yeah, hideous. Jason didn't really spot this when he took it in part exchange, so that's reason number one probably why he gave a bit more money than he should have done, because when I said to him about the paint, he's like, oh, you're joking. Due to the deal that this was and how much money was involved and how many other cars they were buying, not really the end of the world. Front wing, oh wow, I hadn't actually spotted this before. But, so not only do we have rust coming through here, but we have clear bathroom silicone as well. Holding that bumper in place, that is nice. That's the first time I've actually seen that. It's a bit of bathroom silicone holding the bumper on, and then obviously they've tried to put a bit of silver paint on top as well, because you can see there's paint on the silicone. Then we've got to talk about the fact that we have some Fox Racing alloy wheels, not the standard SLK wheels, which I would have rather have seen. They're absolutely caked in brake dust. They've definitely been curbed. The lacquer has come off. They're just not the best. We've got some RX Motion Road X tyres on here, which actually have probably got about 5 minute tread, so that's quite good. Can't moan too much about that. And see here, there's a little rust bubble coming through. And again, you can see the scratchy mark. Someone's tried to like attack it with a sponge or something to, you know, like a scouring kitchen sponge to get it clean. It's just bizarre. Come down the side of the car, we've got even more rust. I wonder if we're going to have more silicone here. Yes, well, do we? Or is that an original rubber? I think that might be a bit more silicone in there, you know. Rust coming through, it's pretty common on these SLKs. It carries on all the way around the arch and into the back wing as well. Another Fox Racing wheel. Disc's not too bad, a little bit of a lip, but not too bad. And we've got another RX Motion Road X tyre on here. Maybe about 4 minute tread, a bit less than the front. Coming around the back, this is probably its best angle. Everything looks pretty good here, other than a bit of scuff marks you can see on the paint. It just looks okay, other than wanting a clean, all that mold and things in there. Back box even looks in good enough condition. A lot of kind of moss and greenness around the S on the SLK 200 there, but yeah, not too bad. Maybe this is the angle that Jay saw it in the first instance when he gave them their £1,200 valuation. So we have got another RX Motion Road X RX Motion, whatever they are. Again, about 4 mil tread on there. We've got more rust coming through. It's been touched in, but not so bad this side as it was the other, to be honest. I think maybe that is an original bit of rubber trim there, or they've just matched their kind of black roofing silicone job on both sides. Front wing as well, bit of a scuff across here. We've got rust down here, which if I press too hard is gonna flake off like that. Yeah, pretty standard on these. In fact, it goes round right into the front of the wing as well, but you know, it's standard on these, and it's not as bad as the other side. We have got a full house of Rodex RX motions, and this one, strangely, I'd say that's about 4mm tread. So we seem to have more tread on the offside front tyre than we do on any of the others, but hey-ho, some uneven wear on tyres is probably the least of our concerns with this car. Bit of a scuff going around the front here, obviously been touched in, not so well. It's had sellotape over the number plate at some point, or maybe it's where they had sticky pads, they had a private plate on there perhaps, I don't know. But yeah, loads of stone chips, paint's been bubbling up, looks like. I think this bonnet's just obviously been resprayed at some point really badly. Perhaps they tried to do it themselves, and then I imagine what's happened is someone's gone over it with a scouring pad to try and do it. That's got into the paint. That's kind of blown the paint out into these scratches, just made it 10 times worse. And yeah, would you spend the money on this at 170,000 miles, 179,000 miles, I should say, to sort the bodywork out? Absolutely not. Right, so let's have a quick look inside. Just the one key with this kind of old school Mercedes key. I'm surprised it's only got one because it's got a little blue tag on it as if to denote which was the good one, which was the bad one. Still got a key blade on it, and our central locking does actually work. Oh, with a bit of a cronk, bit creaky. That is the fuel cap lock going, isn't it? Can you hear that? Nice. Right, so inside is some signs of its 170, I keep saying 170, it's more like 180,000 miles on this thing. Plastics are worn out, looking crappy. This glove box has got some kind of skin condition going on, and it's sticky. You can see the hairs stuck to it. It's just grim. That's the sort of thing you get on E90 BMWs, the door handle trims. They've got like a coating on here to make them comfortable, but that kind of wears out over the time, and it just becomes sticky and nasty and horrible. So yeah, it seems to be happening in here a little bit as well. Other than the obvious wear areas though, I don't think actually really for 180,000 miles it's too bad, is it? Looks pretty dated with this kind of polished steel look. Dashboard, that looks like it's out of the 80s, never mind the early 2000s, but still quite cool in a way. Ashtray seems clean enough in its hidden little section there. We've obviously got an aftermarket head unit. Got this funky little storage tray up here, which, I mean, I don't dislike. In the glove box, we've got our V5, not much else, but it is still attached if sticky. We've got numerous little cubby holes, in fact, including this armrest here where we've got our locking wheel nut key, should anyone be desperate to steal our Wolf Race alloy wheels. And behind me in the kind of centre storage area is our Mercedes book, so I'm going to have a look in here and see if we've got any service history. Right, so let's have a look what we've got in here. Owner's manual with a post-it note. You've always got to check it out when there's a post-it note, haven't you? What were they trying to figure out? Cars with air conditioning, and the coolant level warning lamp is on this page. That's what we're looking at. Have they had issues with the coolant before? Yes. Because the cars with air conditioning is just a kind of note on the coolant issue page. Excellent. That is that. Then we have Cross Keys Taunton Limited. God, that's an old garage. That's long gone. It's been turned into a Marks and Spencer's petrol station now. So just telling you some of the things you can have done at their garage, which no longer exists. And services. There is actually a services book. So we do actually have some stamps in here. Oh God, it's falling apart. I didn't mean to do that, but look, obviously you can pull out a little kind of peel off sticker to perhaps stick in the car. That one's come off already. That one, by just me trying to see if it was 2 pages, I've kind of pulled it out. I need to go carefully with this because we don't want to ruin this car's pristine history. So, how many do we have? That's 3 from Mercedes, 6 from Mercedes, and we've got 7, 8 from Independence, 9, 10 from Independence, Audi 4U. So when did Audi 4U last do it, which seems to be our last service stamp? In 2015. Doesn't say what mileage, which is strange. But in 2012, they did it on 140,000 miles. Has it been done since then? We don't know because there's no other paperwork with this car, but we do have some early service history, which is useless with this car, I'd imagine, but, you know, we've got it. Our electric roof does work. I have tried this already. If I can find the keyhole, I think we need the ignition on. Then we use this red button here, and I've already done the divider in the boot. The windows squeak their way down. That's just a warning system to let you know that you've pressed the roof button. Lid closes down eventually, sometime this week. Oh, it's... Right, that is it down. I feel like we might have struggled to get this to start now because that was quite slow, wasn't it? Luckily I've got a TopDon here, but yeah. This had started and moved around here, but in the meantime we're just trying to put the roof down without the engine running. It will not start whatsoever. Right then, well, let's put our nose under the bonnet first because we're going to need that open anyway to get this car running and see what that's saying. Right, that is that on there. Let's turn it on. Press the boost button. Easy as that. Let's fire up. Just like that. I'll put a link to where you can get the old JS 1200 or the JS 2000 or the JS 3000. We use all of them. They're all absolutely amazing bits of kit to be able to start a car like this. Look how small that is. Once you disconnect the leads, I use it to charge my phone, battery equipment, camera equipment, things like that as well. It's got a torch on it on the bottom. If I can make that work, I can never remember. Hold it, I think. Look at that. If you're on the side of the road, for what they are, so cheap, well worth having in the car at all times to help you out when you need it. Now, while we're on the subject of TopDon, it just so happens that we have an engine management light on this. I don't know if that's just to do with battery issues. It's been on the entire time I've been using this car. It comes up with a warning triangle in the middle and something to do with limiter maybe. And I think we've got a brake warning light now. I don't think that was on before actually. So I'm going to use the TopDon AL500B, a really handy little bit of kit, which also tests the battery. We won't test this one because we know it's knackered, but you can plug it on with the same set of leads and it will tell you whether that battery is good, bad, what percentage it's got left, and whether you should replace it or not. So that's really handy. Then you can take those attachments off, put these on, and you go straight into having an OBD reader, really straightforward to use, great bit of kit. So let's get this stuck on this car and find out what it's not so happy with. Right, so here we are. I've plugged into my ODB port down here, and here's our unit. It's powered off the car, so you don't need to worry about charging this up or anything like that. Again, handy to have in the glove box of the car. So it's got lots of information, things we can do on here, but obviously we want to jump straight to the OBD2. I sometimes say ODB, and people give me a hard time. What we're going to do is we're going to hop in there, and it's telling us the MIL status is on, meaning our engine management light is on. We'll say OK. What do we want to do? Well, we want to read the codes and find out what they are. So it's now going to go through and read all of our codes. Well, it says no fault codes, which is interesting. Let's go see if we can erase codes. We've got to turn the ignition on with engine off. Press OK key to continue. Right, so emissions related diagnostic information has been cleared. And look, our engine management light has gone off. That tells me that perhaps there's different menus in here you can search. So looking for control module problems, there weren't any stored fault codes, but it obviously is upset to do with the emissions. So I wonder if it's a cat reading. Maybe it's got an O2 sensor that's playing up. I'm not sure. It says we can do an O2 sensor test, so let's do that. Do we want to do bank 1 or bank 2? Well, let's try bank 1 to start. This vehicle does not support it. Perhaps it's a bit too old. Here are some of our live data readings. So we've got fuel system 1 fault. Our coolant temperature is 127.4 Fahrenheit. Calculated load value 14.5 means nothing to me. Short-term full trim bank 1 3.1%. This might mean some things to you. Our RPM is 808. Intake air temperature 71.6 Fahrenheit. I'm sure we could change that to Celsius if we wanted to. Oxygen sensor output voltage 0.640 volts. That means nothing to me, but if you know what you're looking for and you've got some time to do some research, you might be able to find a lot more out thanks to TopDon. But for a laugh, just before we head out, shall we do a quick vehicle score check and see how this car scores? I can't imagine it's going to be very good. It doesn't really help me at this point because I've already bought it, but I'm still interested to see what its score will be. Of course, if you haven't heard of Vehicle Score, it's the free score check where you can input your registration, which I'm about to do. Ours is X4 63XYA. Put that in and it's going to score your car from 1 to 999 based on past MOTs and lots of factors that vehicle score check. Our score is 294, not great. Not surprising. So let's head down to our score insights, and it kind of tells us why exactly that is. So 2 things on the looking good, long-term owner, and average yearly mileage is good. Bad bits, low MOT pass rate, over 20 comments on recent MOTs, and vehicles over 10 years old. So I'm going to head to MOT history and see what it tells us. Let's have a look at the last one, which was 18th of August this year. So it's got a good bit of MOT left on it, but on that MOT where it tells me 178,420 miles, offside rear brake hose slightly deteriorated, rear vehicle structure is corroded, but structural rigidity is not significantly reduced. Near side front windscreen washer jet not working, near side rear brake hose slightly deteriorated, rear subframe corroded, but not seriously weakened. Prior to that, it failed on the same day, engine light was on, that was it. So I imagine someone cleared the engine management light for them, and clearly it's come back on again. So I think us having reset it is probably not going to help us much, and it's more than likely going to go off again. It looks like our mileage tracker is showing us that it's never been clocked. Unsurprising, it'd be worrying if it had, because it's already on 179,000. Should you have a car that has a really good score and you're looking to sell it, I think you'd be brave to do it with this one. But you can go to the section selling this car. I asked them whether they could add a section where there would be a banner that would display your score on there, so you could upload your own picture and have that overlaid over the picture of your car, showing what the thing is, so that can be your main picture. When it comes to selling a car, people know straight away that you've got a really good vehicle score check, and if they want to check it out further, they can go to vehicle score and do that. And remember, of course, not every car is as obviously bad as this one. It might look okay and still have something wrong with it. That's where Vehicle Score's ultimate report comes in. Only £8.97 will tell you whether the car's been previously written off and repaired, whether it's been for a salvage auction, anything like that. It's only £8.97, and if you use our code SHIFTINGMETAL15, you will get 15% off. That makes it just £7.62. It's the cheapest comprehensive check out there. So make sure you check them out and do a check before you hand over any of your hard-earned cash for a used car. Right, let's head out on the road and see if it drives as bad as it looks. It is actually starting to spit a little bit, and it is very grey, but you know, when in Rome. I want to keep the roof down because it's a little bit less awful bodywork on show. Right, windscreen wipers, twist that one. I think it's actually running a little bit worse since I cleared the engine management code. I don't think it's misfiring, but it just feels, or maybe it is misfiring a little bit. It just feels a little bit. Oh yes, raw power. It is quite nice that we've got a manual gearbox. I have to say that's probably the one thing that kind of not necessarily saves this car, but it definitely helps it, is that it is a manual, not an automatic. In that regard, at least if someone wanted to use it as a drift car, perhaps, a very budget sports car, then you could, couldn't you? But it wouldn't be quite as fun in an automatic. And it is a 6-speed as well, so it's actually quite fun to drive. One thing an SLK has got going for it is that it is a hardtop convertible, so you can use it all year round, because this time of year in England, obviously not usually the best weather for a convertible, but the fact that this has a hard roof, making it all right, maybe not quite as quiet as a coupe or rigid, but better than a ragtop, that's for sure. Does work in its favour, I suppose. Despite having leather seats, they're not heated, which is a bit of a travesty, really. It's definitely a bonus to have on a convertible in England. Give you the feeling of warmth. Although I've got heat pumping around my feet to make me artificially feel warm as the cold wind whistles past my ears, heated seats would definitely add a bit of core depth warmth to me. Why did we massively overpay for this? Well, it's a few different things, really. I think Jason thought he was probably giving what it was worth for us to sell on for it. As in, we wouldn't make a profit on it, but we'd wash our hands of it, wipe our nose of it, whatever you want to say. And I think if it wasn't for the bodywork, that might have been the case. But unfortunately, I hadn't really spotted that. It was just a schoolboy error. Secondly, they were buying about £30,000 worth of cars from us, which probably sounds like not a lot to a lot of people, but to us, for the type of cars that we sell, that was quite a lot. And one of those was the Mercedes GLC that we bought from the lovely Jonathan down in Devon, which, despite it being such a lovely car, we did struggle to shift. So we were very keen to have a deal where we could get that car sold, basically, and get what was about £20,000 of my money back into the business and into stuff that perhaps we thought would sell better. Ah, it's got dripped right in the eye. Might have to pull over and put the roof up in a second. My camera on the back is going to get destroyed. People will see me driving this with the roof down and think I'm a complete knob. You know, that type of person who's got a convertible and they'll have the roof down regardless of the weather because I've got a convertible and I wear a woolly hat. This is all in aid of your entertainment. And if you have enjoyed it so far, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out. It costs you nothing to do and I would be pathetically grateful. Ah, another one in the eye. Not as grateful as I'm going to be to get inside and have a nice cup of tea, to be honest. We still have a warning triangle in the middle and we still have the lim, as in limited or something, warning in the middle. But the brake warning light, which was the handbrake, which probably a lot of you would have guessed, and shame on me for not making the connection. Our engine management light hasn't come back on yet, but I'm sure it will, given enough time. But to be fair, the car drives pretty well. It does what it should. I wonder if we can set cruise control or not with these warning lights on. We'll get on a straight bit of road and I'll test it out. Sounds a bit like maybe it's got a bit of a blow maybe, or maybe they do just sound a bit agricultural, just a bit like you're driving your dad's lawnmower around. I mean, it has done 180,000 miles, so I'm willing to forgive it. I imagine she's quite tired at this point, and considering that, it is doing very well. For a 22-year-old, 180,000 mile car, it's amazing that it's still running, really. Right, cruise control. We press up to set it, so it does still work. We are cruising at, let's say, 26, 27 miles an hour. And let's put it up to 30. How's this system work? You hold it, we're accelerating 30 miles an hour. So I have no idea what the two warning lights are in the middle. They're so dimly lit up, I wonder if they're even meant to be lit up, or is it, I don't know. But our cruise control still works. I wonder if I just put the windows up, that might help it at least be a little bit warmer in here. I think Jason also fell into the trap of the backstory that came with this car. It was traded in by a French gentleman and his wife, and the wife had sort of said that this was his absolute pride and joy car. You know, she didn't think he'd even want to part with it. He loves it that much, he's probably not going to want to part exchange it. It's, you know, he babies it, he loves it, he drives it all the time. Jason probably assumed that it must have been a really well looked after car, but without wanting to be xenophobic, he is a Frenchman and they will literally drive rust with 4 rubber tyres on it so long as they can keep going, and they will run a car well and truly into the ground, as we've witnessed here. So I don't think he'll be making that mistake again, to be honest. But like I say, they bought 2 very nice cars from us with plenty of profit in it, that if we had to just drive this off a cliff and never see our £1,200 again, we would still be in profit. So not too much to worry about there. I guess you can consider this our loss leader, like Tesco's selling a crate of Stella at the front door for a £5. They're not actually making any money on that, but they know it'll get you in the door and you'll buy the bread and butter and milk and eggs, where they will make profit, or something along those lines. Leaves me with a bit of a quandary of what to do with this car. I could send it to auction, but I think it's probably barely going to return me 500 quid if I do that. Could try and sell it privately. Maybe someone will want to give £1,000 for it. It's an SLK, it might be a good track car, something along those lines, but I'm not sure. Don't necessarily want to deal with everyone turning up and kicking the tyres and saying, God, what happened with the paint and all that sort of stuff, just to try and knock you down to 500 quid anyway. So I don't know, maybe this will be the inaugural car to go on to the Shifting Metal Part X group that I've been thinking about making. I don't know what that would be called if it does get made. I might give Sophie the chance to try and sell it for a week at £1,000, let's say. And if she doesn't have any bites or anything lined up, even people making silly offers, I would just send it to auction just to get it out of my hair, what's left of it, and clear space for other stuff, because you can't hang on to all of them and try and squeeze every bit of profit out of all of them. Anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out TopDon and Vehicle Score. Links to both will be in the description. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. Don't forget to check out the website shiftingmetal.co.uk.
All of our sponsors, deals, discounts, things like that are on there. And you can also pick yourself up an awesome keyring or a cap. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.